We're live.
All right. Yep. Show is. All right, let me cut this audio out. All right, how you feeling? You good?
Let's do it.
All right, let's blast. All right, in 3, 2. Hell yes, dear listener. The HSP boys are back in the saddle once again for episode number 109. Thank you so much for saddling up with us. Prime number episode, dear listener. Prime number episodes tend to go very well for the HSP boys, and we are certain that they go well for you too. This is also our first episode of 2021. Dear listener, we finally made it, did we not? Luke and I hope that you are very, very well, and we certainly wish you a happy new year. 2 separate continents, 2 separate countries, 2 separate adult beverages just to make it fair, although not really anymore, and 2 separate cups of coffee fee eternally. 2 separate fact shamings, 2 separate mansplainings, 2 separate trails to the same inevitable conclusion. 109, dear listener. 109 is the 29th prime number. It is the twin prime number of 107, which we covered 2 episodes back. 109 is about how much larger 109 times our sun is than planet Earth. But none of this really matters right now, dear listener. And why is that? Because the trail grows longer each and every single week. And 109 means we have 109 miles to ride on this trail right here, right now. So let's not tarry. Let's saddle up and ride into episode number 109, which is in the house presently. Find us on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Send us feedback at zero-gravity-media.com. Subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, and what's the other one, Luke? SoundCloud, all under Zero Gravity Media. Dear listener, there is no Zero Gravity Media footprint on Podbean anymore. Find us right here on YouTube where you're joining us right now. Look for Zero Gravity Media and our God tier Zero G logo. Leave us some feedback using the contact form at our website, zero-gravity-media.com/contact. Each week, Luke and I like to call out one city. And this city, the magic of this city is the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week. So without any further ado, the city with the most HSP listens during the previous week is... All right, dear listener, we have a straight up legitimate tie right up here at the front of the posse. For the first time on this trail and emerging in the number 1 spot up here with me and Luke, we have Cypress, Texas. Also tied with Cypress, Texas, another fellow city in Texas, my hometown, town of my birth, Dallas, Texas, up here at the front of the posse with Cypress. Cypress and Dallas, way to throw down. Thank you so very much. You have found the right one. You believe that. And most of all, Happy New Year, dear listener. And speaking of Happy New Year, and most of all, Happy New Year to my trusty co-host, my partner in crime, your fellow tour guide, along with myself, Luke. Happy New Year, brother. We made it. We made it through 2020, man.
Now we just got to make it through 2021.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a hell of a year. It's going to be a hell of a week for starters. So, yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yep. So, did y'all do anything special for New Year? Y'all can't really do anything, can you? Y'all are
dude. We're on full lockdown, like friggin' curfews and all. It's totally ridiculous, man. Yeah, and they even banned fireworks. I guess fireworks spreads corona. So people it was so ridiculous, man. Dude, it was basically New Year's was basically a complete nothing burger.
Yeah.
So, what about y'all?
Well, I had a lovely time. Talked to a bunch of people on FaceTime that night. There's nothing to do, we're not as locked down as you are, but there's nothing to do nonetheless. No fireworks, no nothing, so I kicked it at home, man. And, I've kind of gotten to the point on New Year's Eve where I kick it at home anyway, because New Year's Eve has become such amateur hour, like Halloween and all the other drinking holidays. Right. So I kind of lay low anyway. But I did so this year and had a lovely time, man. Stayed up late, drank a bunch of whiskey.
What do you mean it's complete amateur hour?
Too many drunks, man. Too many drunks and people puking and all that kind of stuff. People who don't know how to handle their liquor and they go out and burn it down one night per year, Halloween, New Year, whenever, you know what I mean? And just lose themselves type of thing. You know what I mean? That's what I mean by amateur hour. So
yeah. I lost my lust with luster with New York, San Francisco. Dude, it's so ridiculous. The bars are so packed. You have to pay like $100 to get. You know, I was just like, dude, like, what is this? You know, plus I always had to work New Year's Eve because I worked in hospitality. So I would rush to the bar and I would get there at like 11:45. Maybe I would get one beer before, you know, New Year's, and then I would just go home, you know?
Right. You know, like you said, after you paid $50 or $100 just to get through the door, right? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So yeah. Somehow I think the Kung Flu may have changed that. We'll see.
Yeah. No kidding, dude.
Yeah. I think next year bars are going to be pretty eager to get people through the door. So
yeah. Totally.
Yeah.
Plus there's not going to be as many people to get through the door either next year.
True. Yeah. It's true. So yeah. So let me ask you this, man. Do you think that we will be through the Kung Flu by this time next year?
It depends on if Trump's reelected or not.
Oh, do tell.
I mean, well, actually, let me rephrase that. Trump was reelected. It depends on if the left, again, we've said this for like months, like going back 6 months. We're so far out ahead of all this. It depends on if the left proceeds with successfully stealing the election or not. That's what it depends on.
Yeah.
If Trump is inaugurated on January 20th, then yeah, they're gonna play out Kung Flu for as long as they possibly can. It'll be the new Russia collusion hoax. If Biden's elected, it'll be 100 days mask mandate, and then it'll miraculously work, and then everything will be fine. And you know, by late spring, everyone will be vaccinated, and this will be a thing of the past, thanks to Biden and the Democrats. But if Trump is inaugurated on January 20th, then yeah, they're gonna play this out for as much as they can. They're gonna hope for as many bodies in the street, as much, you know. Maybe the nurses aren't able to do their dances out in the street because there's so much work to do.
Right.
You know, people aren't able to join them in the lawn across from the hospital and do their coordinated dancing and post it to social media. You know, they might actually have something to do. You never know.
Yeah, maybe. So, yeah.
What about you?
Yeah, I think that's exactly spot on correct. I could not agree more. I agree 100%. It just as it has already been weaponized, the virus, it will continue to be weaponized. That's just it. And but I think you put it perfectly. If Biden is successfully inaugurated on January 20th, which unfortunately I do think is likely. I haven't given up, but I think it's likely. Yeah, he'll be the savior, right? He and Kamala will be the saviors, and that's just it's just how it's going to go, you know.
Somebody I tweeted out. Somebody was like, "Why does she think that she gets to get the vaccine first?" And I tweeted back. I was like, you know, in their minds, they're probably, you know, in some existential threat about. Or no. They're in their minds. They're leading a platoon into a barrage of bullets. They're being out on the front lines, this is, you know, they're being the brave leader by putting themselves out in front of the battle first. You know what I mean?
Correct. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Well said. So. Yeah, but this spate of politicians jumping in line to take the vaccination, I mean, they include Greg Abbott, right? He did. Very disappointing. You know, Biden, Kamala, AOC. And, you know, this brazenness, this brazen lying, exactly like you said, to say that they're trying to show what leadership is. We're trying to inspire confidence in the vaccine. Bullshit. You're looking out for number one. That's all it is. That is all it is. Nothing more.
Yeah. It's a medical form of virtue signaling.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what it is.
They're like quite literally mainlining virtue signals.
Indeed. Indeed. So.
Oh, give it to me.
Yeah.
Give me the rubber bands.
Indeed, sir. Indeed. So yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. So man, let me just, dear listener, Luke and I pretty much have one topic for the week, and that's the certification of the Electoral College. I've got show prep miles deep, but I don't really think there's anything else to talk about other than the certification of the Electoral College. It is going to be some procedure in place, and we could go through procedure if you want to, Luke, but it's rather arcane and boring. A little bit of context, though, dear listener, where we're at right now. As you know, last week, probably right about the time I was recording bots, Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri came out and said he is not going to vote to certify the electoral votes in the Senate. Way to go, Mr. Hawley. By doing so, many Republicans finally found their sack about them, and official reports say that there are 140 Republicans in the House that are not going to vote to certify. Bannon on the War Room yesterday morning said that there are 160. Don't know what the truth is. I've been looking everywhere for a list of those in the House. There is none. And then last night, really surprisingly, Ted Cruz came out and he sent out a letter saying that he was not going to, let me find this article here real quick, dear listener, that he was not going to vote to certify the election, okay? And that he had a posse with him. That posse includes Ron Johnson from Wisconsin, James Lankford from Oklahoma, Steve Daines from Montana, John Kennedy from Louisiana, funny guy, Marsha Blackburn from Tennessee, and Mike Braun, the incumbents who are not going to vote to certify the Electoral College, okay? We also have 4 freshman senators coming in that are not going to vote for the Electoral College. Those are Cynthia Lummis from Wyoming, Roger Marshall from Kansas, Bill Hagerty from Tennessee, and Tommy Tuberville from Alabama. So we have 10 senatorial votes to not certify.
I thought it was anywhere 11.
Near. Oh, yeah, it's 11, including Josh Hawley. That's correct. Yeah. That is not anywhere near enough, but I can guarantee you, based on the fact that he has already said that the election was rigged, Rand Paul will join this list. Anybody else, I would say I kind of doubt it. Dear listener, this was a great move by Ted Cruz. I had actually written him a letter asking him to do exactly this, along with millions of other Texans. So, Mr. Senator, thank you very much for listening to your constituents and doing the right thing. And I love it, Luke, because all of the cucks are on full display now. And I mean, there is massive shrieking and gnashing of teeth from Mitch McConnell, Pat Toomey of Pennsylvania, Mitt Romney, rebuking these senators for doing what their constituents ask, for the crime of what their constituents ask. Cuckery on parade, dear listener. This is great. It was a great move by Ted Cruz to do it this way. He also asked for the reinstatement of an 1877 tradition, which is an electoral oversight committee comprising 5 senators, 5 House of Representatives, and 5 Supreme Court justices to review the Electoral College integrity, right? Who wouldn't want that? They don't want that because these people benefit from rigged elections. They don't want that, right? And so, yeah. So what do you make of it, Luke?
I mean, I think you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, who wouldn't want that? They don't want that. They don't want they view accountability. They keep using these little euphemisms, and the left, of course, they love to do this, which is they take one word, they say one thing, and they mean something totally different. They're like, they're trying to destroy democracy. And by democracy, they mean they're trying to destroy us rigging the election. In their mind, democracy means we dominate. And you're trying to destroy the apparatus through which we dominate when they say democracy. What was the guy, and I believe it was Detroit, when he was like, or maybe it was maybe it was Minneapolis, when he was like in the loudspeaker when they were going in to count votes, he was like, "This is how democracy works," and everyone cheers, and then runs in there and starts like counting votes and starts filing them all away for Biden. So. Yeah. They're trying to destroy the democratic process. What they really mean by that is they're trying to destroy the process by which we are able to corrupt the elections.
Yes. That's exactly it, man. So, and, dear listener, we have a lot of enemies within our own party. We've always known this. Luke and I have explained this since episode number 1, okay, of HSP. And And now they will be put on full display. And dear listener, those who do not support Donald Trump and vote to decertify the stolen election results in 6 swing states, heavily influenced by Mark Zuckerberg, George Soros, the same old litany of names, dear listener. Those are the people who need to be voted out in their next election. We will make a list for you. You can set your watch to it. We will make a list, and we will hold them accountable, period. Or we leave the Republican Party and do not vote with them anymore. One of two
Yeah,
things.
what are your thoughts? But dude, you're not on Twitter too much, I don't think, are you?
Not really, no.
Yeah. What are your thoughts? You know how a couple of weeks ago we talked about starting the Patriot, how we need to have like the Patriot Party start? That is all over Twitter now.
Good.
Like people are, I mean, good, but shit, man. We were, dude, I tweeted that out, and then some lady was like, "You're a rhino for saying that. You're just a rhino." I'm like, bitch. And then she pulled, and then she pulled this, after I just totally BTFO her, she's like, "I'm just an old lady who in her 60s in South Texas that cares about my country," and blah blah blah. Oh, I remember.
Yeah. No, you don't care about your country. No, you don't.
Yeah. I remember what it was. I suggested that I was like, I'm starting to think that we need like something like a Patriot Party modeled after like the Cruzes, the Rand Pauls, and I tossed in Dan Crenshaw in there. And because I tossed in Dan Crenshaw, she had a couple criticisms, and I was like, well, would you mind illuminating, like educating me on these criticisms about Dan Crenshaw? And so she was like, well, he's pro. Yeah, exactly. Ross is saying I'm being mean to old ladies on Twitter. It's like, don't get your ass out of the kitchen if it's too hot for you, so like, hey, I'm an equal opportunity troller. But anyways,
Force. Ross, thank y'all for joining. Yeah.
By the way, Ross put out, in 2000, 2004, and 2016, Ross mentioned that the Dems objected, which is entirely true.
That's true. That's exactly what Josh Hawley said. It's entirely correct. Yeah. Anytime a Republican is elected, the Democrats contest the Electoral College results, and they're considered virtuous for doing so, right?
Yeah.
And,
totally.
Josh Hawley does it, and he's considered, a terrorist, a traitor, so...
Yeah. But anyway, so like, she was like, well, he, voted for, or he was in favor of red flag laws and something else. And so I looked that up, and there's nuance to that. He's not like categorically in favor of red flag laws. And then there's like some other, and I was like, look, you're taking it totally out of context. This is complete bullshit. Now, since then, my opinion of Crenshaw has a little bit changed since he voted for the omnibus and against the Corona bailout. But, she was like, "You're a rhino for including Crenshaw in there." It's like, bitch, just settle your ass down. All right. But since then, this whole Patriot Party thing on Twitter has just absolutely blown up. Now, here's an interesting thing. I'm going to throw this to you, Russ. I want to get your opinion on this. I was talking to my dad about this, and he was like, "You're never going to get a third party to work, because if you taking a third party is basically just splitting the right in half, and you're just handing the country to the left." And while there's a case to be made for that, I don't categorically agree with that. And here's why. Because 30% of Democrats think the election was rigged.
Yeah.
So if even one, and I think you'd get a lot more than 1/3 from the right. I think you'd get way more than 50% of the right. So if even 1/3 of the right joined, 1/3 of the left, that's 2/3 of the vote right there. Like, I don't think it's outside the realm. You'd get all the libertarians, if you had Cruz and Rand Paul, you'd sweep up all the libertarians. You just totally destroy the Libertarian Party. You would take all the cucks out of the right. And I love the name Patriot Party because it sort of implicit says you're either with us or against us. It's like drawing the sand in the Alamo. You're either with us or against us. Mm-hmm. Just the very name of it. It's like, are you a member of the Patriot? No, I'm not a patriot. You know what I mean? It just, I like it. Mm-hmm. I like it. I'm not saying we should. I hope the Republican Party gets its shit together. But, if Biden is inaugurated in, well, okay, I want to get your take on that. I don't want to go on. So maybe this is a 2-part question. The first part is, do you think that's even viable? The second part is that and I want to see if you agree with this. If Biden is inaugurated on January 20th, it is clear to me that at that point, the Republican Party is absolutely useless, feckless, junk party, and it has to be either purged of all of the cucks in the party, or we need a new party. Do you agree with that?
100%. Yes, 100%. I think that I think Dave in Texas has a good point about the viability of a third party. But it still doesn't mean that it's not the right thing to do. And the reason that I say that is that the Republican Party already did this with the Tea Party. They co-opted, stole the Tea Party, used them for votes, just exactly the way they lied and used Trump's voters for themselves, and then turned against him when all the chips were down. Right? It can't keep happening.
Some of them
like
did.
This. It's an abuse side. Some of whom did?
Sorry, you broke out, and so I thought you were finished. I was going to say some did. I mean, I was going to say the Freedom Caucus are that's a political manifestation of the Tea Party. The Tea Party created the Freedom Caucus, and then Trump surrounded himself with the Freedom Caucus. So when I talk about Patriot Party, really what I'm talking about is a political party, which is really the Tea Party, of whom currently the Freedom Caucus constitutes, including Trump and all of his people.
Yes. You know, and they're an angry party at this point in time. It's going to be interesting to see what goes down. I don't think that old blob, that neocon Republican Party, have any legs to stand on anymore. They have some Senate seats, some House seats, but I don't think they have an electorate anymore, man. That's just my gut feeling, you know. So I
agree.
I guess is it already done? Is a new party already formed? Even if it's just, and rather it's not being formed on Twitter. Twitter is the diagnosis thereof that this party already exists, regardless of what happens from here on out, right?
Well, if that's the case, then do we even need a new party? I mean, if all the blob people, if they just got a few seats and we're just waiting, you know, if McConnell and Graham and all these people, if we're just waiting for them to get out, I mean, do we even need a new party, or is it a done deal? You know?
Well, they both just won re-election, so it's 6 years before we get rid of them. You know what I mean? Mitt Romney is what, 2 years? Yeah, he's gone in 2 years.
Not if we can hope for the hand of God.
Yeah. But I don't know. There are so many cucks that just won re-election. You know what I mean? Susan Collins just won re-election, so 6 years for her. What's his name? That son of a bitch from Texas. It escapes me at the moment. The other senator besides Ted Cruz. He was just re-elected. Yeah, John Cornyn. And and so it's the purge is at least a 6-year project. And realistically, Luke, I think it's a 10 to 20-year project. And so do we just part ways now? Let me think on it. What is the prudent thing to happen politically? What is the best thing for us to do right now? I mean, really, the best thing for us to do is to hold their feet to the fire. That's the best thing for us to do. So, but they don't listen anyway, right? So
what are your I mean, hold their feet to the fire. I mean, the left will come running around the corner with a bucket of water and put it out. So what are your thoughts on Crenshaw since all this went down?
Yeah, I'm a little pissed off at Crenshaw. I did not like the way he voted, and he also came out and virtue signaled about Biden winning the election. Right now, I have heard rumor that he has changed his mind and is not going to vote to certify the Electoral College. We'll see. Really, that's what I think of him. That is the litmus test. That's the litmus test for every Republican politician right now, is how they vote on Wednesday, January 6th. That is the litmus.
Dear listener, this is what we'll do. We'll commit to you that we will go through and we'll parse through. We'll give you percentages, and we'll tell you who's on Cuck Watch or no, who's not on. This isn't about Cuck Watch anymore.
Yeah. But I agree with Ross's most recent comment. Yeah, we do have to be strong in the primaries. We have to be really strong in the primaries, and we need to find really strong candidates like Kim Klacik in Baltimore, candidates like that. John James in Michigan. We have to find candidates like that, And I don't mean to name these two candidates because they're both African American. That's not at all what I mean. They are unbelievably strong candidates, right? Regardless of their race, right? And gender. Absolutely strong. And we need, I don't care what color, creed, gender they are going forward. We need candidates that are strong like that. And Ross is right. We've got to put out in the primaries. That's a fact. We do. So
yeah.
Agreed
entirely, which is basically that's what the Justice League Democrats did.
Yeah, it is. That's exactly what they did. And, Dave, in Texas, I would say also about splitting the Republican Party, I get your concerns. It's a risky move. I think that we can count on the fact we're already seeing the honeymoon phase between the Justice League Democrats and the neo-blob, neoliberal Biden acolytes develop, right? The honeymoon is over. And the wind is at the back of the socialist Democrats right now. And there is I think that just the Republican Party is already ruptured. I think the Democrat Party is already ruptured.
You mean wind at the back of the socialist Democrats? You mean, we'll just call them socialists, but you mean over the sort of mainstream left, mainstream Democrats, right?
Yeah, I think they're ascendant right now. So I believe you've said that you think the same as well. That
yeah. I mean, the mainstream Democrats, they're on their way out.
Yeah, I think so.
Like this is why, dude. I do think that there's viability for a third party, like a patriot party, because I think it can unite a lot of people around a lot of fundamental principles. Yeah, maybe they part ways on little things here and there, but if you can band together like a lot of disparate people like the Tim Pools of the world and his following, Joe Rogan and his following, people who the dark intellectual dark web, and I know it's like so cheesy to say that at this point, but all those people, there's so many people. I think if you just stood by basic fundamental principles of our country, freedom of speech, individual rights, just liberty and freedom, like these basic things, and don't latch on to this bullshit Republican talking points about like, oh, I think that marijuana should be legal. It's funny, the left is doing the same thing. Beverly Hills, the city, I guess, of Beverly Hills just banned sale of cigarettes in their county. Their city, one of the two, I can't remember which, but they're like bragging about it. It's like, dude, you sound like the Republicans in the 1960s with weed,
Yeah.
They were saying the same thing. So like, there's a lot of people where it's like, just let people do what they want with their body, protect freedom of speech, Second Amendment, all this stuff. If you just formed a party around that and just cut the bullshit from the left and cut the bullshit from the right, dude, you would have people running to you in droves.
I think
you
so.
Just did that.
I think so. Steve Bannon calls it a populist movement. I really wish he wouldn't define it as that, because I think it is a lot more than merely a populist movement. Yes, populism is included in it, but Donald Trump is not strictly a populist movement. It's not. It is a conservative resurgence as well as a populist movement. But he accurately talked shit to all the Bernie bros last week. I can't remember what day he was. He was like, you guys should be ashamed of yourself when you got behind Biden, and look at what you have. You have no cabinet appointments. You got sloppy seconds. You guys should be ashamed of yourselves right now for supporting Biden. And really, you should be ashamed of yourselves for not voting for Donald Trump, right? And I quite see his point on that. Turns out I didn't believe it when the 2016 results came in, and there was all this claim about a lot of disenfranchised Bernie bros came and vote for Trump. Well, that nonsense turned out to be true. It was true. And I don't know how that translated this time. I don't know any data about that right now. So I think mostly Biden bros or Bernie bros voted for Biden. That's my gut feeling, So
Yeah, I think a lot of them did, but they hate these people. Like you
they
saw
do.
Nancy Pelosi's house got vandalized. By the way, I'm having some sort of connectivity issues. This is why my mic got muted earlier, Russ.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I think it's because I've got two different kinds of internet in this house, and I'm like crisscrossing which ones I'm using right now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, I've got two ISPs. So I don't know. Maybe it has something to do with that. But anyways, yeah, you saw Antifa like spray painted Nancy Pelosi's door, and the media was deliberately vague about it. It was like Nancy Pelosi's house was vandalized overnight, but they didn't say who did it, so everyone just assumes it's somebody on the right. But
Yeah,
it was
that's
if you look at
exactly
it,
right.
there's like an anarchy thing. It's like clearly Antifa did it. They hate these people.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, they do. Yeah, and it was an Antifa hit, replete with a severed pig's head in front of her garage as well. But yeah, Fog City Midge, Maggie Vandenberg, I believe Maggie Vandenberg. She's on the War Room. She kind of stepped in it on this, I have to say, because she lives in San Francisco, and she went over and took a bunch of photos of the vandalism at Pelosi's house and posted it all over Twitter. And that seems to have been the mechanism by which the right took the blame. And so I maybe think it through next time, Fog City Midge. Think it through a little bit more next time. So yeah, I understand that you want to cover stuff. I get it. Yeah, it makes sense, but just be more tactical, respectfully. So, but yeah, no, you're right. We took the blame for it. We did, and we'll continue to. So, whatever.
They probably told her like, "Hey, wash off the A and then just leave everything else." So that way everyone thinks somebody on the right did it.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, McConnell's house got vandalized as well. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, but I didn't actually see a picture of it, but I know it did.
Yeah, I didn't see photos of it. So yeah. So yep.
And he was like, "Oh, these are not going to deter me from political action."
He sure did. Yeah, he sure did.
I was like, "Oh, how brave of you, Mitch McConnell. Thank you." The next Andrew Jackson over here.
Right.
McConnell.
Yeah. This is not going to prevent me from standing up for democracy, for our democracy.
Yeah. Easy there, Sam Houston.
Yeah, right. Indeed.
Don't get too overzealous over there, Mitch.
Yeah. So
it might hurt somebody.
Yeah. So man, I as I said earlier, I have no predictions for how this week is going to go. None. It is going to be damn in. But do you have any predictions for what's going to happen?
No, I've stopped making predictions about this election. I'm riding the wave. Whatever ends up happening happens. It's I don't know, man. It's so difficult. There's so many people on Twitter that are like, trust the plan, hold the line.
Yeah.
The Kraken's coming and this and that. And I'm just like, oh my God, dude, I can't be bothered with it anymore. This is the first time where I look, and some of these people are like, Lynn Wood has been tweeting out a bunch of weird ass shit. Have you seen this?
I've been talking with Robert about it. And I didn't really know what Robert was talking about when Lynn Wood first lost his mind. But then, I don't know, I think I saw a poll thread or a Twitter thread yesterday.
I know what it was that he did.
What's that?
The walls of Jericho are coming down.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, is this a Baptist revival or are we talking about the Kraken?
It was so despicable, man. That was supposed to be a simple press conference where the facts were outlined. Here's how the election fraud happened. Turns into this revival. It wasn't a rally, it was a revival. You know what I mean? Where where poor Sidney Powell, she was a fish out of water at this thing. She did all right, but she just, that's not her style. She speaks to courtroom, not from a pulpit. So
dude, I'm just getting sick of these people on the right, man. Just cool your heels and wait, Yeah.
I
mean, I'm not saying like don't be excited, don't be supportive, and just stand there and wait and just be dealt whatever hand you're getting. I mean, work for it, but Jesus Christ, try to be in touch with reality at the same time.
Yeah, that's exactly it, man. We do, those of us on the right, fellow travelers, we don't have time for fantasy right now. We just do not have time for it. Okay. And that the time for LARPing is over. Okay. And we've got to stay focused on the ball, do things that matter, like everybody in Georgia within earshot of mine and Luke's voice. You need to be writing your governor and your Congress people at the state level now. You need to be doing that. Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin, all of you need to be doing exactly that. You need to take political action, real political action right now. And yeah, we can't LARP. We don't have time anymore. So all this crap about Jeffrey Epstein being alive, which sometimes I still think Jeffrey Epstein may still be alive. We don't have time for it right now. We don't have time. We have to stay focused on the ball. And to that end, I just found out on Gateway Pundit this morning, the title of this piece is, "In one click, you can contact VP Pence, your senators, representatives in all swing state legislatures, and request a forensic audit of swing state results. Try it now." The website came up last night. Dear listener, it was DDoSed, and it is still DDoSed, but I'm going to name the name of that website right now. It is freeroots.com/go/scan-the-ballots. That's freeroots.com.
Say that again.
Here, let me send it to you, Luke, so you can put it in the comments. Do you mind doing that?
Yeah. I was trying to type it out, but is it roots like ROOTS?
Yes, it is. Sorry, man. I abbreviated the URL. Here it is entirely instead of a. Oh, look, it's up. It just came up. No, it didn't. It's DDoSed. Sorry, it's out. So,
all right, it's in the chat if you want.
Right,
if anybody wants to go there.
Yeah, and keep. They're trying to get the website back up, dear listener. I expect it will come up at any moment, but all you have to do is go click a button, sign your name. It's as easy as signing a petition, and an email automatically goes out to Mike Pence urging him to decertify the election. Rather, not decertify the electors. Pick the Trump electors as president of the Senate rather than Biden's electors in the 6 swing states that sent 2 different sets of electors. I know it's complicated, but it's really not. It's basically urging him to pick Trump's electors. Your state senators, your U.S. senators, your representatives, everybody in one click. It's a genius website, and it'll be up again, dear listener. Believe that. It'll come up quick. So they'll get it fixed.
Yeah, it's on the screen, and the link is in the chat.
Yep. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, man. I tweeted out yesterday. I said it's, because everybody was like, at first it was like, wait till December 1st, it's happening. And then it was, well, no, wait till December 14th. It's happening. And then it was like, wait till December 23rd. And then it was like, oh no, on January 1st. So finally yesterday I tweeted out, it's January 2nd and literally nothing happened yesterday. Still waiting. And then I responded to my own tweet. I said, maybe Q can read me a bedtime story about how on Monday, January 4th, exactly 6 months to the day before July 4th, Trump will dock Marine One atop the torch of the Statue of Liberty and become one with the universe.
Yeah, man. Q sure has been silent since the election. Not one post since November 4th. Not one single post. So,
really?
Yeah, not a single one. So, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
God, dude. So are you like full on Q was a LARP at that point?
I'm still Q agnostic. You know what I mean? I'm uncertain. There was too much prescient information that was correct that came out. I just think Q is unsound, right? Whether true or not, it's unsound. It didn't do a damn thing for us to keep the election from being stolen. The Q group didn't. You know what I mean? And so, what we need right now is, rather than trusty planny, oh, I'm sorry, Patriots, it had to be this way from Q. Instead of swallowing this, we need raw political action from everybody right now. That's what we need. Even if, God forbid, Donald Trump isn't inaugurated on January 20th, which, dear listener, I think is a very long shot. There is a realistic chance. There is a realistic chance. It is a long shot. And it sucks because we know the election was stolen, but our raw political action does not end one way or the other on January 20th. And that's what's necessary right now, a full-on concentrated movement, and not this passive trust in an anonymous source that says, don't worry, we know everything. We are in control of all of this. That obviously was not true, right? Or none of this would have happened. So raw political action, focused political action. Dear listener, we have to take our country back. Q's not going to take it for us, period. Nobody is. We have to do it. Donald Trump can't do it, right? It's up to us. And so that's what we must focus on. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, but do you really think writing letters and making phone calls helps?
I think that Ted Cruz got a lot of pressure from the people in Texas to step up and speak out one way or the other about whether or not he was going to vote to certify the electors in the Senate. Yeah.
That's fair.
I think Josh Hawley, for example, got a lot of pressure from his constituents. And, again, Josh Hawley broke the dam. He was the first to come out and say it. And then all of a sudden we hear reports of either 140 or 160. I've even heard 170 members of the House. We're now up to 11 in the Senate. It was a watershed moment because all of a sudden, it seems to me like these politicians realized, number one, if they want to win, they support Donald Trump because their voters support Donald Trump. Kelly Loeffler, David Perdue, looking at you. Y'all have already lost this election on Monday because you have not vigorously stepped up and supported the president. It's done. It's over. You've got that election stolen.
You think the Georgia election's done?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think it's done. I mean, it's we have 2.5 mail-in ballots already in. Stacey Abrams increased the voter registration totals by over 500,000. I can't remember the exact number, maybe 750,000, right? All of these are going to be leftist voters. All of these votes are going to be counted again on the Dominion voting systems, which we know exactly forensically what they did with the Dominion voting systems in Georgia the last time. So there's no reason to expect that they wouldn't do it this time. They are going to do it. They're going to use those same machines to count these vote totals. So, yeah, I think it's done. And all Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue had to do was step up and defend the president and put pressure on Brian Kemp, the Georgia governor, to call a special session of Congress and listen to the evidence about voter fraud in Georgia. That's all they had to do, and they didn't do it. That was your one chance to win. And Luke, I think I mentioned this in 108, the Christmas episode. Kelly Loeffler actually had the audacity to tweet some sort of milquetoast, stop the steal type of tweet, right? And then she was asked the next day on Fox News, what are you doing to keep Trump from being robbed of the election? Oh my God, well, I have an election to win on January 5th. I haven't even thought about Donald Trump yet. Wrong answer. You are a senator first and a candidate second. All you needed to do to win that election. Kelly Loeffler was like, I'm going to vote to not to certify the Georgia election results. And I'm going to be putting pressure on Governor Kemp right now to call a special session of the Georgia legislature to get to the bottom of what happened with this fraud. Done. You win the election. Even with Stacey Abrams' malfeasance, you win. But no, you got to be a cuck. You got to be center line, right? You got to worry about not being unpopular. Yeah, placate Mitch McConnell. That's what you got to do. Yeah,
supplicate to the middle. Yeah, I mean, dude, if these people just had a principled approach and they stood by their principles, that's what people want to see. They're, you don't win the hearts of minds and people by being milquetoast, middle of the road. You win the hearts and minds by having the moral courage to stand for that which you believe.
Yeah,
and that's what people vote for. That's what gets people excited.
Yeah, sure is, man.
That's why the hard left is slowly taking over the middle left.
Yeah,
the middle left. The middle left and the middle right are just a bunch of pragmatists playing tug of war. That's it.
Yep. Playing
people
tug of war are pretending to play tug of war. They're really not.
Yeah,
they're really not.
Yeah,
it's political theater. So yeah.
And this is why the hard left is slowly taking over, because they're the ones with the principled approach to politics, and that's what wins over the hearts and minds of people on the left. And they're going, maybe there's something to this. These people actually stand for this, and look what they're doing. They're burning city centers down. I mean, they wouldn't be doing that for nothing. Maybe I should look into that. I'm not saying that we should do the same, but what I'm saying is that this is called propaganda by the deed, which is a communist tactic, which is basically you go out there and put yourself on the front lines, and people see it with their own eyes, and then they're inspired by that. and that's what causes them to join your ranks. And you know, the rights over here just like placating, and you know, the best we have is like Cruz and Rand Paul, but they're alone by and large, you know, and the Freedom Caucus, and they're alone, you know.
They are. They sure are. You know, that was one of the great things about the Trumpian era, is that Trump took it through these rallies. He took it to the streets. And dear listener, this is also going to be another interesting thing on January 6th. There is tell that there are going to be 1 million people at the pro-Trump demonstration in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. Dear listener, I can't go. I have a video shoot that day. If there is any way you can make it to D.C. on January 6th, I urge you, please go to D.C. You will be well protected by your fellow patriots. Don't worry about Antifa on this one. Don't worry about Antifa.
Have they made a prediction yet of how many people?
Yeah. Somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million is the prediction. Yeah.
Dude, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a lot more than that.
Yeah. I know. And I've got a Sundance piece here about that from Conservative Treehouse. It was in the last paragraph. Dang it, I'm not going to be able to find it because it was several days ago. Yeah, I can't find it. But anyway, Sundance had heard a rumor that President Trump was going to speak somewhere in D.C., not the South Lawn of the White House, like about a block away from the South Lawn of the White House. There's a park there. I can't remember what it's called. Sundance heard a rumor that President Trump is going to speak there on January 6th, the day of the rally. Just a rumor, but he did hear it. And Sundance tends to know things. I will give him credit for that. He does. So, yeah. So, sorry I can't find that, dear listener. Sorry. So, although as I was looking, Luke, I just saw this headline. Number one, Mitt Romney, Lisa Murkowski, and Pat Toomey pledged to support 2020 election fraud. Clever, Sundance. That's good. And then this one that I had not read yet. January 6th, Ted Cruz has a rare second chance at redemption, but don't expect him to take it. Come on now, Sundance. Come on. He already has. So give the man a chance. But at the same time, though, Sundance, I get your cynicism. I really do. I totally understand it. I mean, how could one not be cynical to the nth degree right now, right?
Yeah.
So,
totally.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to send you a link. There was something that dropped during the first segment of the show. Okay. Apparently, there's like some recordings of Trump that have come out.
Yeah, I read that immediately before the show came up. I have it was dropped in the Washington Post.
Yeah, I
have that article. Where did I put
a link. Here's a tweet. Here's a link to the tweet with the audio.
Okay, all right.
Why don't we do a break and then play this when we come back? How about that?
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, that sounds really good. Oh man. Well, I will. Yeah. Let me not get ahead of ourselves. Let's play it when we get back after the break. That sounds good to me. So, yeah. All
right. Before we go on break, dear listener, don't forget to like and subscribe. Feel free to share this on YouTube. You can also, and by the way, we're leveling up right now. I got a new webcam, got a microphone, bought a new laptop. So we're inching forward in our production quality, and we still have to backport to audio. Now that my laptop's arrived, I'm waiting on a couple of other pieces of equipment to arrive. And then we should be really burning with production, including audio and everything else. So stand by. We apologize. We know we've been saying for a couple of weeks that we're going to, be putting the show out in audio. But I'm operating right now on one laptop, and I really need to transition over to a different laptop, which I now have. It arrived like 2 or 3 days ago, but I'm in the process of getting it set up. So anyways,
your listener, Luke's excited. He's like a kid at Christmas.
Yeah, dude, I'm so stoked. So stoked about this mic, so stoked about the webcam, and even more stoked about this new laptop. Yeah. It's awesome. So, anyways,
great, bro. It really, yeah.
Oh, thanks, man. So here in the next couple of weeks, our shows will still be coming out, or our shows will be coming out back again on audio, also on the website and everything else. So, which is iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, not on Podbean, but on TuneIn. And You can follow me on Twitter at Lucifer Skinner. That's LUKEFAHR, and Russ at RussZGM. Follow us on Twitter and Facebook at Zero Gravity Med. And I believe that's it, right, Russ?
Yes, sir. You nailed it. You nailed it.
All right, cool.
So, all right, dear listener, for audio break today, Luke, we kind of have a short one. It's like a 6-minute audio break. And dear listener, we're kind of going for a short show this week. Again, there's really only one thing to talk about, even though I've got show prep out the wazoo, but we're going for a shorter show this week. We all got to go back to work tomorrow, right? It's a bummer. We're coming at you on January 3rd at 1:37 p.m. Texas time. Everybody has to go back to work on the 4th. It's such a drag, I know. So Luke and I are trying to keep it short, be respectful of your time, and get some rest ourselves as well. So the piece I have for you for audio break this week, dear listener, is a barn burner. It is Emerald Robinson's introduction on a show that she filled in on Newsmax this week. And it is about exactly what Luke and I are talking about regarding the Republican Party and Donald Trump. The Republican Party just doesn't like us very much. And Emerald Robinson does a fantastic job of laying out exactly the logic and evidence there behind in 6 minutes. So, dear listener, grab yourself a drink, take a bathroom break, be back here in 6 minutes. We are halfway down this 109-mile trek, and Luke and I will be back at you before you know it.
Tonight, we will be talking about America as it stands right now, which means we'll be talking about the post-election chaos. Everything is confused right now, and everyone seems confused. Most of all our politicians, the people who we voted to represent us, don't seem to know who they represent anymore. Maybe it's the Sudan or Burma. I mean, after all, both of those remote countries got big money from Congress last week. Most of our elected officials seem to represent China now, at least unofficially. But it definitely isn't us. Americans hardly have any representatives at all in government. You can see this most clearly in the COVID relief bill that Congress tried to pass last week. While Americans were getting $600, Burma was getting $135 million. Sudan got $700 million, and Pakistan got $15 million. The list goes on and on. This wasn't a Democrat or Republican boondoggle. This bill had broad bipartisan support. In other words, both parties wanted to give $700 billion to remote foreign countries that most of us have never visited, while giving Americans a mere $170 billion. You can say there's nothing new about this. Congress is always wasting our money. But there is something new. There was a very messy and very public breakup between the GOP and President Trump over all this. And that's what I want to focus on tonight. The average Republican voter is just waking up to the harsh reality that the GOP and President Trump don't really agree about anything. It's not a marriage anymore. It's not even dating. It's now almost an abusive relationship. The president yesterday accused his own party of having a death wish. Trump played the part of the loyal spouse, publicly supporting total buffoons like Mitt Romney and Ben Sasse in the last 4 years, while the GOP went around town sleeping with big tech lobbyists and Chamber of Commerce flops. You can see this most clearly with the Georgia runoff elections, where Trump has publicly called out Republican Governor Brian Kemp and other elected officials, while Mitch McConnell and the GOP establishment have remained totally silent. Listen to the president during the latest Georgia rally earlier this month.
And for whatever reason, your Secretary of State and your governor are afraid of Stacey Abrams. They're afraid of her.
Or take the last two major votes in Congress, the NDAA and the COVID relief bill, where the Republican Party simply abandoned President Trump in both cases. This has caused total confusion amongst Republican voters. The average Republican voter is now like the kid in an ugly custody dispute. Trump tried to keep the family together for the sake of the country, but Mitch McConnell and Mitt Romney had other ideas. They think you can't wait to vote for Nikki Haley or Chris Christie in 2024.
Idea to think that any state or any number of states, no matter how good they are, can challenge another state's right to run the election as they see fit. And also, there's no evidence, as I've been saying since election night. Show us the evidence. And what's gotten even worse, though, Martha, I think, is the attacks by the president on good, hardworking, decent Republican governors.
That coming from the governor who spent his final days in office sitting on the beach while his state government was shut down. That's why the GOP never complained about the problems with the 2020 election, the one China and Iran interfered with, as we now know from Director of National Intelligence John Ratcliffe.
What they're really trying to do is through blackmail, through bribery, through overt and covert influence, trying to make sure that only laws that are favorable to China are passed.
GOP wants its voters to move on from President Trump and has publicly ditched both Trump and his voters to prove it. See, the problem for the GOP is that 95% of its voters voted for Trump. The kids belong to Trump, not Mitch McConnell. And they don't seem to be in any mood to simply move on from the 2020 election and get excited about Chris Christie running in 2024 or go back to the losing ways of Mitt Romney and company. What happened to prominent Republican politicians right after the election? The answer is they all disappeared. Once the GOP disappeared, it began to pursue its old agenda policy, the policy agenda that existed before Donald Trump. Almost the very first night, they passed Senator Mike Lee's big tech bill allowing unlimited Indian guest workers to come into the U.S. to take the best U.S. tech jobs. The GOP Senate in particular had already tried to stop the president from building the wall, stopping mass illegal immigration and amnesty. They even tried to block him from putting tariffs on China. In other words, the GOP has completely broken from the most popular Republican president in living memory. They've opposed the president on every significant policy dispute in the last 4 years. This resembles a revolt of GOP politicians against their own voters. According to incoming Representative Marjorie, who will be joining us later on the show, Mitch McConnell and Nancy Pelosi are crafting a plan to block members of Congress from objecting to the certification of the Electoral College votes. What does that remind you of? I mean, it reminds me of this Thelma and Louise clip of them going off the cliff. Even President Trump thinks so.
These people back here and the Washington swamp. I'm also running against some rhinos. We still got some of them left. They're on mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. They're just about gone, but you don't want them to come back. The rhinos are worse than the angry sicko Democrats, the ones that have gone off the ledge.
The establishment has simply miscalculated the mood of the country very badly. And then again, most of these senators and congressmen don't really spend their time worrying about their own voters.
All right, welcome back to HSP episode number 109. Dear listener, I assume it's finished anyways. I don't hear anything else. So before we go on, please subscribe to us on YouTube. We are almost at 150 subscribers. That would be awesome if we can hit 150 during this show. So if you would, please, you don't even have to hit the notification bell, although if you were smart, you would. But please hit subscribe. We would love to hit 150 during this show. And you can here soon find our audio. I'll try to backport all of our audio to on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and TuneIn, but not Podbean. You can find me on Twitter at Luke Skinner. You can find Russ on Twitter at RussZGM. And you can find Zero Gravity Media on Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med. Oh, and what I forgot last time is don't forget to go to zero-gravity-media.com where you can find everything that we do. And if you want to send us feedback in a private form, send it to /contact, and then we will publicly state your name and what you said. So I'm kidding. We won't do that.
Don't dox, dear listener. You can always trust us on this. We do not dox. So,
indeed. All right. Do you want to play that? You want to play that Trump audio? So, dear listener, this is fresh. This is hot off the press. Doesn't get any fresher than this. This is Trump apparently, allegedly, berating the Secretary of Georgia
Raffensperger.
Raffensperger.
Yeah. Yep.
So this is WAPO dropping sort of like a something.
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
So
no worries. Yeah, this is apparently WAPO like secretly recorded this or something. I don't know. Let's see if this is a.
Yeah, Raffensperger did and turned it over to the WAPO. So
I didn't know that. Raffensperger. Is that even legal?
In certain states, yes, it is. I don't know about Georgia specifically. So
yeah, but dude, it's the president of the United States. You can't record the president with
Indeed. So
maybe this will give him reason to sue the shit out of him. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe so. Maybe so. And before we play this audio clip, I see that William Trail List. William, thank you so much for joining us. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you too, sir. Thank you very much. So, all right, you ready to drop it, Luke?
Yeah, dude, I can't wait to hear this. This is going to be good.
Yeah, I'm curious. All right, dear listener, here we go.
I mean, having a correct, the people of Georgia are angry. And these numbers are going to be repeated on Monday night, along with others that we're going to have by that time, which are much more substantial even. And the people of Georgia are angry. The people of the country are angry. And there's nothing wrong with saying that, that you've recalculated.
Well, Mr. President, the challenge that you have is the data you have is wrong.
Now, do you think it's possible that they shredded ballots in Fulton County? Because that's what the rumor is. And also that Dominion took out machines. That Dominion is really moving fast to get rid of their machinery.
All true.
Do you know anything about that? Because that's illegal.
This is Ryan, Germany. No, Dominion has not moved any machinery out of Fulton County. We're having
false.
But have they moved? Have they moved the inner parts of the machines and replaced them with other parts?
No.
You sure, Ryan?
I'm sure.
You should want to have an accurate election. And you're a Republican.
We believe that we do have an accurate election.
No, I know you don't. No, you don't. You don't have, not even close. You're off by hundreds of thousands of votes. You know what they did and you're not reporting it. That's a criminal offense. And you can't let that happen. That's a big risk to you and to Ryan, your lawyer. That's a big risk. But they are shredding ballots, in my opinion, based on what I've heard, and they are removing machinery, and they're moving it as fast as they can, both of which are criminal fines, and you can't let it happen, and you are letting it happen. I'm notifying you that you're letting it happen. So, look, all I want to do is this. I just want to find 11,780 votes, which is one more than we have, because we won the state. So tell me, Brad, what are we going to do? We won the election, and it's not fair to take it away from us like this. And it's going to be very costly in many ways. And I think you have to say that you're going to re-examine it, and you can re-examine it, but re-examine it with people that want to find answers, not people that don't want to find answers. For instance, I'm hearing Ryan, and he's probably, I'm sure, a great lawyer and everything, but he's making statements about those ballots that he doesn't know. But he's making them with such, he did make them with surety, but now I think he's less sure, because the answer is they all went to Biden. And that alone wins us the election by a lot. So.
Mr. President, you have people that submit information, and we have our people that submit information, and then it comes before the court, and the court then has to make a determination. We have to stand by our numbers. We believe our numbers are right.
Well, under law, you're not allowed to give faulty election results, okay? You're not allowed to do that, and that's what you've done. This is a faulty election result. And honestly, this should go very fast. You should meet tomorrow, because you have a big election coming up, and because of what you've done to the president, the people of Georgia know that this was a scam. And because of what you've done to the president, a lot of people aren't going out to vote. And a lot of Republicans are going to vote negative because they hate what you did to the president.
Where's the lie?
They hate it.
Where's the lie?
They're going to vote. And if you would be respected, if this thing could be straightened out before the election. You have a big election coming up on Tuesday.
Which, in spite of these cucks, Donald Trump is still throwing a rally for tomorrow night there in somewhere in northern Georgia. I can't remember the town. So, Luke, before I get your take on it, I want to read the accompanying Washington Post piece. I'm going to take it from the lead. It goes thus. President Trump urged fellow Republican Brad Raffensperger, the Georgia Secretary of State, to, quote, find enough votes to overturn his defeat in an extraordinary one-hour phone call Saturday that election experts said raised legal questions. The Washington Post obtained a recording of the conversation in which Trump alternatively berated Raffensperger, tried to flatter him, begged him to act, and threatened him with vague criminal consequences if the Secretary of State refused to pursue his false claims. Trump's false claims at one point warning that Raffensperger was, quote, taking a big risk. Throughout the call, Raffensperger and his office's general counsel rejected his assertions, explaining that Trump is relying on debunked conspiracy theories. Debunked, there's that term again, conspiracy theories, and that President-elect Joe Biden's 11,779 vote victory in Georgia was fair and accurate. Dear listener, this is a news story. This is a news story, but it reads like an op-ed, does it not? It is an argument, right? Name one thing President Trump said that was wrong. Nothing. It's just like the call with Ukraine. Nothing. Everything he said was correct. Luke, what's your take on it, bro?
Dude, can you help me refresh my memory? What were all the examples, just for the audience here, what were all the examples of vote fraud in Georgia?
Ballot shredding, okay? That was one in Fulton County, okay? Dominion voting system cooking the books, which has been proven. The algorithm has been produced of exactly how it was that these systems pushed the vote for Biden. And dear listener, you need no further proof than the fact that in every county in Georgia, there were fractionalized votes, decimal votes. These votes should be whole numbers. It shouldn't be 300.333 to 1.666 in an election. That should not happen. These vote tallies should be whole numbers, and they weren't in every county in Georgia. And Mr. President, respectfully, so those were the two that I recall him naming, Luke, but the one that he did not call into evidence, which is the one that is the most damning, and that is the video clip of the ballot counters after the election was called at the State Farm Arena because of oh God, we have a water main break here. It wasn't. It was a leaky toilet, and it wasn't even that leaky. It was a lie, dear listener. That's why they stopped, quote, counting the vote, ran all the Republicans out, and then hauled all of these ballot containers out that had been hidden in plain sight under tables there. And you can see them pull these containers out and start running them through the machines. And then all of a sudden, at the State Farm Center, the vote swung to Biden, right?
Yeah. They weren't in plain sight though. They were underneath. They were underneath a table, but there was a black tablecloth draped so that they were hidden on all sides. So they ran out all the poll watchers. I don't know if they were just Republican poll watchers, but they ran all the poll watchers out, saying that that they're done counting for the day. And then after everyone left, they go, pull these crates out from under this table and then start running the ballots after all the poll watchers are gone. And he didn't state that one. Yeah. And notice the lawyer, they say, Mr. President, we believe our numbers are correct. It wasn't, they are correct. You are wrong.
Yeah.
Because we believe they're correct, and we just send it to the courts, Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, it's all this plausible deniability.
Yeah, exactly. This has to be demonstrated in a court of law. You have to get your data and arguments together and then put it in a court of law. Well, yeah, guess what? 89 cases, miraculously, all were thrown out of every court of law for lack of standing. Unbelievable, man. Or latches. But both tactics were employed, So
yeah. I mean, in like Stacey Abrams' sister's the judge who said that what did she rule that they're not going to, oh gosh, what is it, where they try to make sure that the address is correct with the with the ballot. I can't remember the exact ruling.
It was certifying the signatures. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something to that effect. Yeah.
I
was just like, I mean, dude, like the courts are compromised. I mean, Mark Elias spent months leading up to this election doing nothing but compromising the courts. So when they're like, it has to go through the courts and blah, blah, blah. Mark Elias spent months leading up to this election compromising all of the courts. Yeah. Actually, I should say corrupting the vote through compromising the courts.
That's exactly right. And
Georgia was one of those states.
Yeah, sure was.
Where Raffensperger like made this sort of like settlement, like, okay, don't sue us anymore, and we'll meet you halfway or 3/4 of the way, or give you what you want.
Right. With the DNC, who Mark Elias was representing at that point in time, no Georgia state legislature was involved, and that is a constitutional issue, dear listener, because the Constitution mandates that legislatures must make election law within their states. No, Raffensperger, the Secretary of State of Georgia, made an unholy deal with the DNC through Mark Elias. Luke is exactly correct. Exactly correct. And oh man, so like just on that alone, dear listener, the Georgia election should be decertified and thrown out. Just on that alone, you don't even have to prove fraud, right? The Constitution was not followed. Period. It wasn't. Okay, it's an illegitimate legal election. Period.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, totally, dude. And yeah, I mean, this is like this whole thing about like, oh, Trump unloads or Trump goes, what are they saying? I'm looking on Twitter right now. Yeah, they're just, yeah, they're like, oh, Trump has frenzy on this conversation with, they're just totally blowing it out of proportion. I mean, Trump was basically, he was actually quite calm.
Yeah, he was. And he was also actually quite correct in everything that he said, right? I mean, he didn't use the best language. He's not an attorney, right? Trump seldom does use the best language. What else is new? Okay. He happens to be correct about everything he said. He's correct. And he's being lied to in his face with exactly what Luke just said, this slippery legalese, right? This uncertain language, right? We believe that our election results are accurate. Yeah, well, they're not. Okay. They're not. Who cares what you believe? You come out and say, our election results are correct or they are not. And we know, dear listener, they are not. They are not. And hence, Kelly Loeffler and David Perdue are doomed. That's it, dear listener. That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. At this point, yeah.
Yeah. That is it. Even if Trump comes and rallies for them, they didn't do anything to secure their elections. They're going to do the exact same thing they did on November 3rd. Oh, my God. And one can only conclude that Raffensperger and Brian Kemp, their governor, want this. And they're Republicans. Quote, Republicans. They're Mitt Romney Republicans, dear listener. Neolib. The blob, as Luke and I call them. The purples, as Luke and I sometimes call them, right? They want back in power so that they can pursue their unholy alliance deals with China, Ukraine, etc., like the Biden family crime syndicate has done. And YouTube, before you throw us off for saying this stuff, all of this is evidentiary at this point in time. All of it is. So,
for those who don't know who Mark Elias is, he's an American attorney. I'm reading his Wikipedia, specializing in election law, voting rights, and redistricting. He's a partner at Perkins Coie and head of the firm's political law practice. He served as general counsel for the Hillary Clinton 2016 presidential campaign and John Kerry's 2004 presidential campaign. Yeah, it even says here. Yeah, in January 2019, he served as general for the Kamala Harris 2020 presidential campaign. It says, ahead of the 2020 election and amid the coronavirus pandemic, Elias filed dozens of lawsuits to expand voter access. On September 14th, 2020, the Joe Biden presidential campaign announced that Elias would join the campaign's quote-unquote special litigation unit, leading a team of lawyers focused on the state-by-state fight over vote casting and vote counting rules.
There it is.
So they went state by state trying to get them to throw out signature verification, address verification, or the signature matching, I should say, address verification, to throw all of that out so you could just canvass mail-in ballots and then just receive mail-in ballots. And you can go to China, for example, and I've seen video evidence of a phone call. There's a lot of other evidence of them just literally buying ballots from China and China printing and shipping them over. And there's evidence that it's printed on different paper. They can forensically prove that. No down ballot voting on any of these ballots. They're perfectly printed inside the circle, all for Joe Biden and no votes for anybody else. It's just, I mean, dude, it's so flagrant and it's just in your face. I mean, if you don't pay attention to politics, I totally understand. But if you pay attention to politics and you are not aware of how flagrant all of this malfeasance and corruption is, then I'm sorry, you're beyond help.
Yeah. You're in willful denial. That's it, of not looking at the facts. Yeah. If at best, willful denial. At best. At worst, the dishonest, lying scum that your party is. So, sorry. Don't mean to attack dear listeners. Sorry about that. So, yeah.
Well, some of them, not a lot of our listeners listen to us because they don't want to bother listening to the news, so they want to like jump in, listen to our show, get the scoop, and then bounce out, and they don't have to think about it for the week. So
That's
I
true.
totally get it. If somebody listens to us and they're just not aware,
Yeah. So
I'm reading it.
What you got?
I'm reading a piece that Fox News just dropped 5 hours ago. GOP senators won election commission similar to what decided the disputed 1876 race.
Yep, that's
Cruz, other Republicans. Yeah, look for a repeat of what led to the election of President Rutherford Hayes. Several Republican senators are vowing to challenge electoral votes in the 2020 presidential election from several battleground states when the votes are formally counted at a joint session in Congress on Wednesday, with the hope of establishing a commission to determine who gets the votes. Unlike what was called for by a failed lawsuit from Louis Gohmert, Republican representative out of Texas, the suggestion here is not to simply overturn election results outright and award a second term to President Trump, but rather to have an independent investigation of those states' elections. While out of the ordinary, it would not be the first time for such a process, as it is what happened following the 1876 election, allowing Rutherford B. Hayes to become president.
Yep.
Cruz goes on to say we should follow that president. He and 10 other current and incoming senators said in a joint statement referring to the race between Hayes and Samuel Tilden. To wit, the Congress should immediately appoint an electoral commission with full investigatory and fact-finding authority to conduct an emergency 10-day audit of the election returns in the disputed states. Once completed, individual states would evaluate the commission's findings and would convene a special legislative session to certify a change in their vote if needed. I could go on, but I think Graham totally cucked on this. Let me see if I can. Here we go. Senate Judiciary Committee Chairman Lindsey Graham said he would pay attention to any allegations that will be made on Wednesday, but was skeptical of the overall strategy. Quote, proposing a commission at this late date, which has zero chance of becoming reality, is not effectively fighting for President Trump, Graham said in a statement. It appears to be more of a political dodge than an effective remedy, end quote. Graham went on to say that he, quote, will listen closely to the objections of my colleagues in challenging the results of this election, but noted that, quote, they have a higher bar to clear, end quote, in providing evidence that multiple state and federal courts erred in their rulings, and that, quote, the failure to take corrective action in addressing election fraud, end quote, actually impacted the results of the presidential election. I love how I'm just waiting for him to accidentally slip up and be like, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, indeed. What a scumbag. I almost wonder, Luke, if we shouldn't just be hoping for a Democrat landslide against the Republican Party. I'm almost there. You're
going full accelerationist now?
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Full on accelerationist. Yeah. So,
just to melt them down and be done with it.
Yeah, melt them down and be done with it. Yep. We have 10 bad years. I take it back because the stakes are simply too high. I mean, despite what cucks Loeffler and Perdue are, and even though Trump is going to go rally for them again tomorrow, and the crowd, when they get up to speak, is going to boo them off the stage again, saying, fight for Trump. It's still better that they win the election and we at least have one foothold of governance in the legislature. At least one. But it's over. Doesn't matter. It's over. So, yeah. Sorry to be pessimistic, dear listener. I tend to go toward optimism rather than pessimism, at least before you lovely audience. I tend to. There's no call for optimism here. They blew it. They absolutely blew it. State government blew it. Senator candidates blew it. Stacey Abrams capitalized. It's over. So, yeah.
I mean, my attitude is obviously I'm hopeful that if Trump wasn't elected, then so be it. But we all know he was, It's idiocy to think otherwise. And I just want an honest and fair election. I want justice. That's it.
Same here. Yep, that's all I want.
That's
all I want. Yep.
And I'm becoming less convinced that that's a possibility. I don't know. We'll see. I think the Republican Party is just going to get more and more purged as time goes on. And I hope that our country can fix this politically, so we don't have to do so. We fix it with policy, words, honesty, and politically, so that something worse doesn't happen down the road.
Yeah. Hashtag me too. It's man, we're on the edge of a knife right now of how things could go. We really are. Yeah. And it's a terrifying moment in our republic, dear listener. It's terrifying. And this week is going to be nothing less than completely historic. It's going to be very interesting to see what our country chooses this week.
The next couple of weeks are. I mean, until the 20th.
Yeah, next couple of weeks. Yeah.
I mean, and this is why I just have to, at some point, you just have to let go. Whatever. Yeah. It's power's out of my hands. Whatever happens, you know?
Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
I know, man. I know. Oh, man. But yeah, dear listener, Trump was exactly correct when he said to Raffensperger, the people of Georgia are angry and they're not going to turn out and vote for Loeffler and Perdue because they know the election is rigged. He's correct. He's correct about this. He is entirely correct. Show me the lie. Show me the lie. It's the truth. The polling data bears it out. And, you know, of course, they're casting it, Luke, as a tight election. Like one day Loeffler and Perdue are up by 1, and then the next day Ossoff and that racist, whatever his name is, the African American preacher who abuses and wife abuser, then they're up by 1, and it oscillates back and forth just too close to call because it's a news narrative that sells. Dear listener, that's what they've done to this, right? Yeah. So much more is at stake than a news narrative right now. So much more. But hey, the blame lies with Republicans. And Stacey Abrams, to be fair, you know, the blame lies with them. You know, keep in mind, dear listener, Stacey Abrams never conceded that she lost the gubernatorial race. And she made a wry statement. Yeah, but I never challenged the election results. Bitch, yes, you did. Yes, you did. That's exactly what you did. You challenged the election results. Don't piss on my leg and tell me it's raining. Come on now. Come on. Yes, she did. So,
I mean, I do at the end of the day blame a lot of the right on this. You know, the left is just doing what they do. I mean, we shouldn't be surprised by anything that they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, we should be surprised with the right and how feckless and pathetic they are. And I felt this way for a long time, man. You know, I felt this way since like 2014, probably, about the right.
Yeah, we were talking about it back then. Yeah, I mean, back in 2014, as we've narrated in these hallowed halls many times already, dear listener, it was already cast into stone that it was going to be a Jeb Bush versus Hillary election. Bush versus Clinton 2.0 is what it was going to be. And Luke and I were just poolside, well, in bars, actually, just like, law, what a clown show, man. Let's get a boat and get out of here. For real, though. Yeah, I'm with you, Luke. That's when I really became of permanent disdain, permanent disdain. And I'm not pessimistic, dear listener. The Trump movement is very real and it is very powerful. And it does not end with Donald Trump. God forbid were the president to die in office right now, which he won't, but were he, the Trump movement lives on. If he is not inaugurated on January 20th, God forbid, the Trump movement lives on, right? The same as Luke's shrewd observation about how the Tea Party movement lived on. You know what I mean? So raw political action, dear listener, that's what we got to do. That's what we got to do. So, and I'm sorry, dear listener, I'm sorry to pill of color. There's just not much to be optimistic about right now. I mean, Luke, am I wrong in saying that? There's just not much to be optimistic about, So.
No, not at all, man. Not at all.
Yeah. Well, did you go ahead?
No, I was going to shift gears. What were you going to ask?
Did you hear about Louis Gohmert's lawsuit being thrown out for lack of standing? Once again, did you hear about that?
Yeah, but I think Pence, the reason Pence wanted that thrown out is because he was like, no, I get it. I'm behind the principle of the lawsuit, but you're suing the wrong guy. You need to be suing, I think he said, Congress.
That's exactly correct.
Or Senate, one of the two.
That's exactly correct. It may be a good toss. I don't know. I'm going to have to. Well, I have read a little bit of the judge's decision about it, but I have to go back and study it a little bit and think about. Actually, no, I don't. I mean, it's just stay in the saddle and go get through this week. So I might back-tread someday.
I gotta turn my cam off real quick because Jessica's bringing my phone and she doesn't want to be on camera. So I'm turning my camera on, and behind me is the door. So I'm turning the camera off, but I'll be here.
Okay,
for just a second.
All right, very good. So you said you wanted to shift gears, and I'm looking forward to it, man. Dear listener, I just pulled up an article this morning while Luke is getting his phone and all that kind of stuff. All right, back. That was quick.
Yeah, I mean, door's right behind me.
Yeah, the IRS has pledged as of this morning to up small business audits by 50%. They are hiring 50 new auditors to the IRS, right? This is a Biden thing. You can believe that, right? So I have a tweet here. Oh my gosh, let's see if I can find it. It was a god tier point. Nope. It's from Herman Cortez. It says, shall the IRS look into evidence of fraud within the PPP grants to big businesses? Nah. Let's just audit whatever small business survives 2020. Indeed, sir. So
yeah,
this is going to go under Biden, dear listener. They're going to come after guns, small businesses. They're going to protect Chinese interests, right? This is Chinese subversion, essentially, of our government being weaponized once again, just like it was under Obama, in the form of the IRS. And if you have a small business, dear listener, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. They've already said they are. So there you go. All right. So you wanted to shift gears. What you got, man?
Well, I don't know if you saw this. You're going to probably be pretty triggered when I read this to you. I posted it in Discord because we were real chatty in Discord this week. I don't know if you saw that or not, but this is from the Canadian.news. This is actually about some Milan courts. So migrants, the COVID risk is an argument for granting humanitarian protection. It is a court decision that could be landmark. The Milan court has ruled that the risk of COVID in a migrant's country of origin could be a valid reason for granting humanitarian protection to those who have been refused political asylum or war refugee status. Each situation must be assessed on a case-by-case basis, but a pandemic in a country already plagued by scarce medical resources, poverty, and political and social unrest are all arguments that can lead justice to consider the repatriation of a migrant as a risk. Migrant flows, which have also sharply intensified in 2020 across the Mediterranean. The Italian authority, that's not even a complete sentence. The Italian authorities recorded 34,000 arrivals, almost as many as the cumulative total for the two previous years. It is a little less than Spain, 39,000, the first route of entry into Europe for migrants. Greece had more than 15,000 arrivals this year. Despite the bad weather conditions, landings continue. I think we just lost the feed for a second. 100 migrants stranded on a beach in Lampedusa, where they were immediately taken care of and subjected to COVID tests. The island's reception centers are overwhelmed. They mainly accommodate Egyptians, Syrians, Tunisians, Iraqis, Turks, or Afghans. So yeah, now Corona is being used as a, if you can't get political asylum and you can't get war refugee status, now you can just say, oh yeah, they have Corona back home. And then, okay, here you go. Stay up.
Yep. Further weaponization of the Kung flu by the left. Further weaponization. And also, I would say, eerily similar to what Barack Hussein Obama did when he imported all of those Ebola cases from Africa into the United States because, oh my God.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. Oh my God, they need treatment. Oh, we have to bring them here we're morally obligated. We are morally obligated to bring them to the United States because we have such excellent medical care. And Luke and I, when that happened, that was in 2014 as well. We were just like, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you doing? And what did these idiots do in Dallas, Texas? They escaped from the hospital and went and spread Ebola. That's exactly what they did. So thanks, leftists. Appreciate it a bunch. Mean it.
Dude, this is the plug and play strategy of the left. It's like, if it's not climate change, we need to bring them into our country over climate change. If it's not that, then it's a pandemic. And if it's not that, it's war. If it's not that, it's political unrest. It's just, the left just has this plug and play strategy. They've got what they really want, and then they just plug and play. And if it's not one thing, it's another. This is what the right needs to understand, is that you can't just go after each one of these. I can see people on the right going, oh no, this is why we shouldn't do that because of Corona. It's like, dude, you need to discuss whether we should have borders as such or not. Okay. Yeah. And then address that issue, because they're going to go, okay, cool. You know what? Well, we're not going to worry about Corona. Let's pivot back to climate change now. Climate justice. Yep. It's just like, it's plug and play. Attack the root issue, That's
exactly right. Shrewd observation. I couldn't have said it better. Yep. And meanwhile, you watch, Luke, Biden, that's about right. Biden said that he was going to have amnesty within 100 days, and then he backpedaled and said it would be 6 months, but he's going to stop deportations in his first 100 days. There's already, dear listener, a caravan coming up through Honduras and Guatemala. Mexico is trying to stop them, but they can't do it. The caravan is too numerous, are too numerous. Luke, you watch. They're going to escort them into the country for this Milan decision. Exactly. Oh my God, they have the Kung Flu. We have to bring them into America so they stay safe. Oh my God. That's exactly what's going to happen. You watch. Set your watch to it, man. Oh my God.
Oh man. I'm not anti-immigrant as such, but dude, we have to have borders, Mm-hmm. We have to have policy around those. And if you don't like the law, then elect politicians that will change the laws. Yeah. And then we can have a proper discussion around that. But the law is the law, and if you don't like it, follow the correct path to do it, to changing it.
Yeah. I'm not anti-immigrant per se. I'm pro-legal immigrant, totally, right? Anti-illegal immigrant, totally, always have been. So, did I hear what? Sorry to interrupt, bro.
Did you hear this? I'm shifting gears again. Did you hear this audio, this press conference from the president of Ukraine? Did you hear about this?
Yeah, where they outlined the case against Biden, the Biden corruption in Ukraine. Yeah, I did.
Oh, dude, they dropped everything.
They did. They did.
Yeah. Frankly, it was not necessarily anything I hadn't heard before, but it was a lot more explicit. But my God, dude, that didn't even hit the media.
No, it didn't.
And even people on Twitter didn't even care. I was like, how is this not everywhere right now? You know what I mean?
I know. And man, I've got to say, Luke, it sounded eerily like they were making a case against Biden, a chargeable case against Biden. That's what it sounded like, right? And so, dear listener, ask yourself the question. After that, just the Ukraine evidence came out, not to mention Hunter Biden's laptop from hell about all of the Chinese corruption, how can this man Biden be given security clearance to become president? How can he? If we had a sane intelligence service, he wouldn't be. He can't be. So, yeah, there you have it. Clown
unbelievable,
world,
dude.
It is unbelievable. So,
well,
yeah,
dear listener, I'll tell you this, Russ, I don't have much more on this show, but I'm ready for all this to be over. If Biden gets elected, it'll be sad because the election will have been successfully stolen. Who knows what's going to happen after that? Every election, everyone's like, the world is ending. So is the world ending? I don't know. Do we have an uphill battle? Absolutely. But I'm looking forward to getting back to more philosophical stuff, more ideological stuff, less week by week election politics. I'm honestly just exhausted by all of it, but we can't not talk about it. So forward to later in this month when we can get back to more of the philosophy, more of the we'll of course still cover. I'm really just looking forward to getting back to more of the deep thinking and stuff like this, and not having to just play constant catch up week over week with election stuff. I don't know. Yeah. How do you feel about that, Russ?
Mixed. I've really enjoyed the Trumpian era of shit posting, political shit posting, Twitter spats, all of that type of thing. The meme wars. I really have enjoyed it. I don't mind doing, political thinking and deep dives. I thoroughly enjoy that. But I do suspect that if Biden is elected, which I do think likely, politics will become really boring. And, maybe that's good. But dear listener, I'm with Luke on, maybe doing deep dives again, like we used to do in the single digit, double digit, or early double digit episodes, right? Doing things like that, like, things about Democrat socialism, things like this, right? I think that these are things that we all benefit from. I certainly do from researching it. I hope that you benefit from it as well. But dear listener, do rest assured, Luke is not checking out of the fight by any sense of the imagination at all. So, all right. Hell yeah. Luke just sent me a meme, dear listener. It says, let's have illegal immigrants hunt down sex offenders for a chance at citizenship. We'll call it aliens versus predators. Indeed. Indeed. I love it. Hey, I love it. And dear listener, there are going to be plenty of things to fight if Biden is inaugurated. Second Amendment is going to be the big one. Illegal immigration will be another one. I promise you, yeah. Purging the cucks out of the Republican Party. All of this.
That should be the biggest task at hand.
Yeah, it should.
That's the best thing that we can do is get all of the unprincipled, worthless Republicans out of the party. Throw them out.
Yeah. And dear listener, Luke and I are on the record. We are going to parse through who the cucks are and who are not this week as we see this vote go through the Senate and the House. And Luke and I will report back. You believe that? We will. We will.
On Wednesday, we'll know for sure.
Yep, we will. Yeah, we will. Yeah. Actually, Luke, I think that there is a substantial chance that there will be enough objection to where they have to do this is a procedural thing, dear listener. If there is enough objection to certification of state voting in either chamber of commerce or either chamber of the legislature of Congress, right? Congress, okay? There have to be 2 hours of debate where you go state by state about which ones were challenged, okay? This is a major opportunity for evidence of voter fraud to be introduced into both chambers of the House. This is a big opportunity, right? So, Luke, I think that it might go past Wednesday. I don't think it goes past Friday, but I think that there might be 12 hours of debate because I think there is a chance that there will be substantial rebuke of the swing state voting. And we'll see.
I don't mean, maybe that's the case, but I don't see it changing anything. Everyone's mind is already made up. It's not going to change anything.
Yeah, I agree. Everyone's mind is made up.
Yeah.
Although that said,
they're already all aware of everything.
Yeah, they are. They are just blocking the hearing of the evidence in the courts, in Congress, state legislatures. They are. One wild card though. Once Josh Hawley grew a pair and came out and said, "Okay, I cannot vote to certify these swing state elections." Like I said earlier, the dam broke, right? I think that there will become less support for certifying state elections over the coming days. We'll see how it goes, man. But I agree with you. I don't see a way that Biden doesn't win the Electoral College, and it's a damn shame, dear listener, because it is evidence that our system is not just broken; it's destroyed. It's destroyed.
Yeah, I mean, again, that doesn't mean that there's no more paths forward for Trump. It just means that this one path is shut down. That's all that means,
right?
Because the path that Cruz is taking is yet another path, which he said will take 10 days. So, and we detailed that earlier in the show. So, I mean, even if Biden gets the Electoral College, then there are still paths, but it's just that the possibility is just shrinking, narrowing, shrinking, and it's already narrow, very narrow. So
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It's a damn shame, listener. It's a damn shame. So, yeah. I would like to think that there could be bipartisan. I was talking about this on Bots a little bit. By the way, dear listener, I did the top 7 stories of 2020 on Bots. It's on SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, and TuneIn. Go check it out. I talked about this, assuming whether either Trump or Biden is inaugurated on January 20th, I would like to think that there would be bipartisan support to fixing the rigged election system. I would like to think that, right? I think, dear listener, quite frankly, the greatest catalyst to make that happen quicker is to steal the election back and inaugurate Donald Trump, because you can bet your ass that the left will want to fix the election system at that point in time. And I would like to see a government independent agency survey what's going on in elections and make recommendations to both the Democrats and Republicans, and there be bipartisan support to fix this, because this cannot continue. Sorry, it can't. And if, like I said, the surest way to stop it is to inaugurate Donald Trump on January 20th, because they cheated. They stole the election. We steal it back. Again, you can bet your ass they're going to want to take a look at it if that happens.
It's not stealing it bad. It's rectifying the theft. That's it.
Exactly. I say it's steal it back just for marketing terms, essentially, right? You know, but yeah, it's correcting the lies. That's really what it is. It's counting every legal vote and telling the truth. That's all it is. That's all it is. Yeah, it truly is not stealing it back, dear listener. It truly is not. So, yeah.
All right, man. Well, let's call it here.
I agree. All right. You want to run us through my socials real quick?
Yeah. Before we get out of here, don't forget to follow us on. You can follow me. You can find me on Twitter at Luke for Skimmer. That's LUKEFHR. SKINNER. You can follow Russ on Twitter at RussZGM. You can find everything we do on zero-gravity-media.com. Send us feedback privately at zero-gravity-media.com/contact. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube. We would love to hit 150 subscribers. Let me see what we're at right now, Russ. We should be really close. I think last time I checked, we were at like 148. Yeah, we're at 148. We need 2 more people to subscribe, and we'll be at 150. So subscribe to us on YouTube. We'd very much appreciate it. And you can find us. You can find Zero Gravity Media and the Shoe Bros. Ross and I have a show we're doing now. We're supposed to record today, but we had to do HSP, and Ross had something come up last minute. So it's called Of Life and Liberty. So I'm looking forward to that. And you can find us on both Facebook and Twitter at Zero Gravity Med, and find our audio on SoundCloud, Podbean, Stitcher, and Apple Podcasts, all under Zero Gravity Media.
That's right. And dear listener, I promise I'm going to get back in the saddle on bots, right? I don't know how often I'm going to be able to do it, but I really enjoyed doing this last one. I hope you enjoyed it as well. I will make a habit of it. John and I are going to get back on the forum. You can believe that. Duty has prevailed, and that's just what it is right now. Lots of content is going to be coming out on Zero Gravity Media. Dear listener, you set your watch to it. Believe that. So, all right, Luke, anything else, bro, or should we sign out?
Let's sign out, dude.
All right. Dear listener, thank you so much for joining us. We hope you have enjoyed making it all the way down this 109-mile prime number episode. We hope you enjoyed it as much as Luke and I did. Luke and I are going to be back at you on time and under budget with a hell of a weekend wrap-up next week for episode number 110. You set your watch to it. Meanwhile, dear listener, stay in the saddle. Put pressure on your politicians. Be good to one another. Be good to yourselves. Live your best life, dear listener, right now. That is the very best thing you can do. And Luke and I do wish you a happy new year. We will be back at you before you know it. Luke, in the meantime, this week, you take care of yourself, brother. Let's be in touch.
All right, sounds good, brother. Peace.
Late.